So when you think of a ghost story, you're probably not picturing Oscar Wilde's The Canterville Ghost. And for good reason. It starts like a classic horror tale, haunted English manor, centuries-old curse, but it quickly turns into something else entirely. It's hilarious, it's a bit of a culture clash comedy, and surprisingly, it's really touching. So let's dive into this brilliant story about a ghost who's an absolute master of his craft and the one family that just refuses to be scared.
Okay, so the story kicks off with a scene that feels straight out of a classic horror movie. You've got Lord Canterville, who's about as British and aristocratic as they come, selling his family home, Canterville Chase. And he feels, duty-bound to tell the new buyer, this American guy named Hiram B. Otis, that the house comes with a little extra feature, a permanent and very spooky resident.
And right there, that's the whole setup, the central joke of the entire story. On one side, you have hundreds of years of English superstition, Gothic horror, and spooky tradition. And on the other side, the Otis family. They're practical, they're modern, they're American, and they are completely, totally unimpressed. This clash sets the stage for one of the funniest showdowns in literature.
All right, let's talk about the star of the show, Sir Simon de Canterville. Now, you have to understand, this guy isn't just some random spirit rattling around. He's a professional. He sees haunting as his art, his life's work, and he has a long, very impressive career built on scaring the living daylights out of anyone who dares to live in his house.
And man, what a career he's had. This is basically his supernatural resume, his greatest hits. We're talking about scaring a duchess so badly she never got over it, making governesses quit on the spot, and even being connected to a few deaths. By every measure, Sir Simon is a legend in the haunting game.
But every great career eventually hits a snag, and for Sir Simon, that snag is the Otis family. They move in, and they don't see a tortured soul or terrifying omens. Nope, they see problems that need simple, practical, off-the-shelf solutions. They are about to turn Sir Simon's entire world upside down.
And this is where the real comedy is. It's this incredible culture clash played out right in the manor's hallways. Sir Simon presents this horrifying, centuries-old bloodstain, and Washington Otis just scrubs it away with some Pinkerton's Champion stain remover. The ghost does his signature, terrifying chain rattling, and Mr. Otis offers him oil for them because they're making too much noise. It is just one humiliation after another.
You'd think the kids would be easier to scare, right? Nope. It's even worse. The twin boys, who are nicknamed the Stars and Stripes, don't see a figure of terror. They see a moving target. They launch pea shooters at him, they throw pillows at him. All of his dramatic, terrifying entrances are met with nothing but pranks.
Okay, but the absolute rock-bottom moment for Sir Simon, the biggest insult of all, he unleashes his most famous, most bone-chilling demoniacal laugh, a laugh that supposedly turned a man's wig gray in one night. And what happens? Mrs. Otis just comes out and offers him some medicine, assuming he must have a bad case of indigestion. Can you imagine? For a master of terror, this is just the end.
So at this point, Sir Simon is just done. He's been offered indigestion medicine, pelted with pillows, his best work has been cleaned up with detergent, he's furious, and he decides, all right, no more Mr. Nice Ghost. He retreats to his room to plan his ultimate performance, the one that will finally put these Americans in their place.
And we're not talking about just rattling some chains. This is an elaborate, multi-part plan. He's got specific scares tailored for each member of the family. He's going to gibber at one, put a clammy hand on another, and then, for the grand finale, he's going to appear in one of his most terrifying roles, Dumb Daniel, or the Suicide Skeleton. He is not messing around anymore.
So he's all ready to go, psyching himself up for this big performance, and as he creeps down the hall, he just freezes, because there, in front of him, is another ghost. And this one is genuinely horrifying. Red light shooting from its eyes, a fiery grin. For the very first time in 300 years, he's the one who's terrified.
He literally runs away in terror, but after a while, he gets his nerve back and thinks, hey, maybe we can team up. 2 ghosts are better than 1, and that's when he finds out the truth. It's a fake. A dummy the twins built out of a curtain, a turnip, and a broom. And it has a sign on it basically saying, Otis Ghost, the original, except no substitutes. He's been completely out-ghosted by a couple of kids.
And the story could have ended right there, as this hilarious tale of a ghost getting pranked into submission. But this is where Oscar Wilde does something genius. The ghost just gives up. He's broken. And the story pivots, moving from comedy into something much deeper. It asks us to look past the spooky costume and see the real story underneath.
And that whole shift happens because of one person, Virginia, the 15-year-old daughter. She's the only one in the family who doesn't try to clean, fix, or make fun of the ghost. She's the only one who reacts with compassion, and she sees something that everyone else missed.
So she finds him one day, and he's not being scary at all. He's just sad. He's sitting by a window, looking completely dejected and forlorn. And instead of screaming or laughing, she just feels sorry for him. She walks right up to him and says, "I am so sorry for you."
And just that simple act of kindness, it changes everything. The ghost finally opens up and he tells her his secret. And it's not that he's evil or loves to scare people. It's that he's just so tired. He hasn't slept in 300 years, and all he wants is to rest.
And listen to how he talks about death. It's not scary at all. He calls it the Garden of Death, and it sounds, well, beautiful, peaceful. This isn't the talk of a monster. It's the desperate plea of a soul that has been suffering for way too long.
Then he tells her there's a loophole, an old prophecy written on the library window. It says that he can finally find peace, but he can't do it alone. He needs a young, pure-hearted girl to weep for all the bad things he's done and to pray for his soul. Basically, he needs someone to show him mercy.
And this is the big emotional turning point of the story. Virginia looks at him and says, "I am not afraid." She agrees to help him, even though he warns her it could be dangerous. Her empathy is it's stronger than any fear she might have. She takes his hand, and they disappear together through a secret panel in the wall.
Okay, so we've had the laughs, we've had the drama. What are we supposed to take away from all this? Because this is so much more than just a funny story about Americans and Brits. It has some powerful lessons that are just as important today as they were back then.
Well, the big lessons are pretty clear, aren't they? The rest of her family tried to solve their ghost problem with stain removers and oil and medicine. They saw a nuisance. But Virginia, she just listened. She proved that empathy could solve a 300-year-old problem that no commercial product ever could. She looked past the ghost and saw a person who was hurting.
I mean, really let that number sink in. 300 years. 3 centuries of being stuck, restless, and exhausted. 300 years of playing a part he was so tired of. And all of that torment was ended, not by force, not by a clever trick, but by a single act of compassion from a teenager who chose to understand instead of judge.
And it's not a one-way street. Virginia doesn't just save the ghost. The whole experience completely changes her. Her encounter with Sir Simon teaches her these huge, profound lessons about life and death, and why empathy, or love, is powerful enough to overcome both.
So here's the final thought I want to leave you with. The Otis family thought they'd won, right? They'd defeated the ghost with their practical, modern gadgets. But in doing so, what were they completely blind to? They treated the symptoms, the stains and the noises, but they totally missed the deep suffering that was right there in front of them the whole time. It's a great reminder that sometimes the most powerful tool we have for any problem isn't a clever solution, but just a little bit of empathy.